Hello and welcome back to my channel. This card features several Lawn Fawn products including Tiny Farm, Milk and Cookies, Hey There, Den Sweet Den, Hive Five, which is an exclusive stamp set that is no longer available, as well as some jellyfish ink. To start with, I've stamped out some images using my jellyfish ink, and I'm altering these. This is why I have stamped it in such a light ink. This card is actually for a friend, and she loves Winnie the Pooh. So I am just trying to create those characters using the Lawn Fawn stamps as sort of a base. Full disclosure, after I got done with these, I didn't actually like the way some of them looked, so I did redo them off camera. It was basically the same, I just made some small changes. I find it very difficult to sketch things out on camera because, one, I'm further away from the paper than I normally am to try to film. And I'm very aware of, or at least I try to be, very aware of where my hand is compared to the pencil and the paper so that you can still see sort of what I'm doing. Now a quick rundown. The bear is now Winnie the Pooh. The horse is now Eeyore. The little pig is now Piglet. The cookie jar is now a honey jar, and I altered the beehive a little bit to make it look more Winnie the Pooh-esque. And now I'm lining everything with a Copic Safe liner. While this is Copic Safe, it can still smudge a little bit if you are, one, coloring too soon after you ink, or two, if you're using a very light color, you do have to be careful when you go over the lines because those tend to make this smudge or smear a little bit, and even like the pinks is particularly bad for that. So I know Piglet has some stripes. I'm not going to add those until after I've colored it because I didn't want them to become a muddy mess. Now, if the coloring bit doesn't interest you, you can skip ahead to about 6 minutes, 10 seconds. I kept the coloring pretty simple for this, so I'm not going to discuss it. You can see the colors on screen. Everything was kept simple due to just the Winnie the Pooh style being fairly simple. I do apologize for my hiatus from YouTube. It wasn't planned. We kind of had a little bit of a rough patch there. My son wasn't sleeping well for a little while, and then he started to swell, so we had to take him to the hospital. They did some tests, came back, and said it's looking like he has a kidney disease, which is terrifying. You know, nobody wants that for anybody, but to watch a little 3-year-old go through that stuff and then be told, yeah, it's probably a kidney disease, that's very scary. So they sent us home. We went back 2 days later, and they did some more tests and said that it wasn't that his kidneys were functioning at normal capacity, and that the little bit of protein he was losing from his kidneys was minimal and did not match the amount of protein he lost in his blood. This is a whole lot of information that probably nobody cares about, but anyway, I'm just word vomiting. It's probably related to an allergy. He has to see a GI specialist, and once we do that, hopefully we'll have a pretty good idea of how to handle things. So hopefully I'll be back on YouTube a little bit more frequently, making cards again. And here's a quick shout out to anybody who prayed over the situation. I appreciate it. God is good, and he came through, and I am super grateful. Once my images are colored and cut, I am going to take out my treehouse die set as well as my platform pop-up die set from Lawn Fawn. I've pulled out the parts that I want to color green, and I have Mowed Lawn Distress Oxide as well as Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide. And I'm just going to ink up these pieces. After I've done that, you know the drill. I've got my mowed lawn, watered it down, and I'm going to splatter my grass as well as the little foliage for the trees. Once that's done, I set it to the side to dry, and I have Vintage Photo Distress Oxide and my tree trunk. And I'm just going to ink this up. I'm trying to make it a little bit darker at the bottom just to give it some depth and contrast. I had contemplated doing more to this, but decided that it needed to stay fairly simple. So here I am folding up my pieces so that I can construct the platform pop-up. I've done this a bunch of times. It's not a difficult thing to do. I also sped this up. You're not really going to learn anything from how I'm putting it together so quickly. But if you haven't used it before and you need detailed tutorials, Lawn Fawn does a good job of showcasing their die sets. And because my tree is going to pop out of the platform pop-up, I did need to have it be a little bit more stable, and I needed to add something behind the door and the window. So I just used scrap pieces of paper for that. I also lightly inked up the frame for the window and the door using that same vintage photo. It's just extremely light. Now here I'm doing something that's probably a little strange at first. I am scoring the tree, but I did this so that it would fit at the corner of the platform pop-up and it would be in there pretty snugly. So I'm just gluing that in with liquid glue. I find that it holds the best and offers the most wiggle room. Now for my sentiment, I really didn't have anything I thought worked really well as far as font size or sentiments that I already had. So I did use my Cricut for this, and then I cut out the little pieces with the coordinating dies that go with the platform pop-up. And my whole sentiment reads, A day without a friend is like a pot without honey. I did leave a little bit of space on that center piece to add Piglet because I didn't feel like he really fit at the top with the other characters, but I think it's cute that way. That's it for today's card. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!